I want to first start off and say this is awesome that you're here because we here at the shop are huge fans of what you're doing over at Iron Vault. You guys have built this insane brand that we're trying to not emulate because we're not a gym, but figure out how we can kind of build that brand identity. So yeah, congratulations on that, man. That's awesome.
Thank you. I'd say probably the same thing. I think we see what you guys post. We're like, damn, like we need to step it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's I feel like we just both brands are kind of like pushing each other, but like in a good way.
Yeah. Yes. You need competition too. Yeah. Like friendly competition.
Better watch out. Might open a shop.
Yeah, man. We'll open a gym.
That might be a lot easier.
We'll see. So yeah, what'd you drive over here in?
2022 Chevy ZR2.
So you're a truck guy.
I'm definitely a truck guy now.
Why?
Honestly, I think more functionality. When I was younger, I had cars, and I think now that I have 2 kids, can't put car seats in the back seat. And I've also like completely changed, I think maybe like my mindset of like I'm terrified of being stuck in a car.
Interesting.
Like, so let's say like today, Bronx River Parkway, shut down. How are you supposed to get to work, or how am I supposed to get home if there's an emergency? I get in my truck, drive right through the Bronx River. It's flooded. I'm good to go. Yeah. So I've kind of like, and I think started out that mindset like with the Hummer. Like my first car was a Hummer H1, 96 Hummer H1. And I just love driving it, love being able to like put everybody in it. And I don't know, I've definitely completely went down the truck route now, but not show truck. There's like a massive difference between a truck and a show truck.
We have this conversation all the time about things having to look good but also be functional.
Yeah.
Where do you think that line happens? Like, what would you do to your truck? What wouldn't you do?
Like I said, I'm a big overland like functionality guy. I test drove the TRX. I test drove the new Raptor. I just feel like those two are just so like they're more like they have that functionality aspect of it. But I need a truck that if I go to my property, I'm not going to get made fun of for driving like a pavement princess.
Yeah.
But it's got to at least be able to run 35s, 100%. Like my truck now, I completely regret buying it because you cannot slap on 35s stock.
How does it drive with 35s?
You need to put, it comes 33s or 32 and a half, whatever. You need to lift it just to put 35s. Like my stock Jeep Gladiator I bought 2020, throw on 35s, perfect truck.
Probably looks sick.
I loved it. I actually owned it, and I used it as collateral to buy this truck. Biggest regret of my life. I took my dad to Chevy because my dad was like friends with the guy who owns a Chevy dealership. And he's like, oh, well, we'll give it you 45. Like, whatever, he'll work with you. And my dad looks at me. He's like, but you own this truck. You have no payments on it. And I'm like, yeah, but I really want that truck.
It's tough. Cars are
tough.
Cars are the things where like, it's really tough not to make a bad financial decision.
Tough. And that truck sold. I checked the next day. It was gone the next day.
Oh, those especially. Gone. When did this happen?
It was So it was last summer.
Okay, yeah, so that was still when craziness was happening in the car world.
Crazy. And I overpaid for my truck. Overpaid.
It happens.
Yeah. I thought I was getting like the craziest deal. I'm like, oh, this truck's so rare. One thing I actually learned is never buy a vehicle that's in a Super Bowl commercial.
Wow. Why is that?
Because it will always be full production and always be like mass production at the end of the day.
Interesting.
So that truck hit the Super Bowl that summer or that winter, and then by the summertime it released, and I was like, I have to get it. It's gonna be this awesome like Raptor Chevy. It's gonna be so cool. Like I've probably seen in my town alone like 8 or 9 of them.
That's tough.
And now I'm like, I hate it. I don't want it anymore. I just like to be different in some aspect.
So that's what the car world is. Same thing with like bikes and sneakers. Like there's the hype stuff, but then it's a world in which you can kind of be yourself and express yourself. Yeah. I mean, we see crazy stuff. We have this saying, it's like, happy it exists, but wouldn't drive it. Yeah. Like you see something like a crazy JDM.
Well, the thing that you guys just posted, the Cayenne, I just showed Justin. That's like my dream setup, a Cayenne, like lifted like that. Like I love that overland utilitarian.
It's for sale.
Is it really?
It's for sale, Mikey. Damn it, we didn't get the retention. He didn't watch the whole thing. We gotta work on the
I didn't. I didn't watch the whole thing.
You might have missed that part. So that was gonna be a question. What is your dream setup? So it would be a Cayenne?
It would be some sort of SUV. I've been cruising online right now looking for a 96 Land Cruiser. A Toyota Land Cruiser from 96. I would like the 50th anniversary edition. I think that's what the year it is. My mom actually had one, a 50th anniversary Land Cruiser, and I've been searching everywhere for a 96 Land Cruiser.
They're bulletproof.
Bulletproof. 300,000 miles. You could just pound on them. They live forever. It's more of like an off the grid kind of vehicle. Like that's like where I'm pushing now. Something that's, it sounds crazy, but really off the grid. Like I don't have to, there's a lot of electronics in it. I'm very like, I could just go, not have to worry about anything.
Fix it yourself if you need.
Yeah, very simple. And like my Hummer H1 would probably be my favorite, would be my dream vehicle.
Yeah.
If I could drive it every day. I mean, it was the first car I really learned, or first truck I really learned to do things on my own. So it took a little bit of a beating, but it's good. So I would definitely try to find a 96 Land Cruiser or just rebuild the Hummer.
That would be sick.
Yeah.
I would love that. Yeah, you see that stuff just absolutely exploding. Like I when we posted that, it's everything now is overland and off road.
Love it.
Like we posted a 964 Safari.
Oh.
And that video blew up.
Yeah, well, those really did blow up, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that market. I mean, even for the Land Cruiser, you could see online, like, from summer 2019 to now, doubled from, like, 19,000 to almost 40, 50,000.
I think what it was the stuff that we all really wanted, the old Defenders, the old Broncos, the old FJs, those became unattainable.
Yeah.
Because you look at those Defenders, $100,000.
Yeah.
And it's insane. So I think
love to get
you
one.
got to move on. Like next, it's going to be people are going to want the Xterra, like the Nissan Xterra or something.
Honestly,
like
at this point, like, listen, my dad has a 2020 or 2021 Tacoma TRD Pro, 160,000 miles on it. He bought it brand new, and he drives every day from here to Massachusetts every day.
Every day.
160,000 miles. He could sell that car for full price.
Oh
Right
yeah,
now.
100%.
Like he'll keep it forever. And he's in the same boat now. He's like, okay, I love this truck, but I also want to get something else that I could like continue to beat on and not, be afraid that
He's got a Tesla, right?
Yeah. So actually, you guys fixed it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
He had a little bit of an accident, and it's a 2016 Model X P100D with unlimited supercharging.
Oh, never
so
sell it.
he brought it here. I told him, go to J&B. Like, trust me. Like, you need to fix that truck. Fix that car immediately. Never get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't. Those
Well,
2016s are still selling.
They still
for
are
crazy money because people
But
love the
Tesla
supercharging.
did offer for 2024 you could switch it out, and they'll
heard that.
overlap. But I just told him on the way over, I don't know if that's a good deal. I feel like there's going to be some fine. Even though I trust Elon, I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know.
In our world, you either trust him implicitly or not.
Yeah. No, there's no in between. But
We posted a video the other day of purposely controversial.
Yeah.
Where I said, can we all admit or agree that the Tesla Model Y, Model X, Model 3 is the best daily driver of all time?
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And the comments went
Yeah, I saw
crazy.
that. Good. Thank you.
It's perfect. It's perfect. But like we were talking, we were like, it was the weekend. I was hanging out with my brother. We were watching the UFC fights. Another comment. I was like, oh, there's another person calling me gay. Okay, cool. Like just like the whole time. I was like, all right, like maybe I need to have a conversation with my wife because if these people are all telling me that, maybe
I must be missing something.
Yeah.
No, but listen, I completely agree. I actually have 2 Cybertruck pre-orders on.
Okay, cool.
The first day that the pre-orders open, and then I did another one. I want to say like 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a random text saying that it's going into queue, but I don't know which one it is. Because the first one I did tri-motor. The second one didn't have an option. It was just like you'll pick it later. But yeah, I'm definitely.
Are you excited for
I'm
that?
definitely in line for that. Yeah, I just gotta move some things around, figure out how I'm gonna hide it. I don't know. I might go into the business for a little bit.
So tell me about the business. You are the owner, CEO of Iron Volt, the brand, but specifically gyms.
Yeah. So the mother company is what we call it, is Iron Vault, not the Iron Vault or Iron Vault Gym, Iron Vault. And then there's a bunch of like sub companies from there. So like there's IVX, and then from that, we originally opened like an outdoors division for outdoor living and like survival stuff and guns and training. And then that actually stemmed to, we recreated that to be a whole nother company called Loadout Supply, which will now be like its own separate company, but still operates under the same kind of family operation and building and headquarters. But yeah, it's kind of tough to say what I do. I just think that I'm, I guess, an entrepreneur.
Yeah, serial entrepreneur.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely that. That's a good way to put it. But I don't know. I just feel like there's always an opportunity for me to do something better. And if I can do that, then I'll definitely open an LLC.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of them. Yeah.
So how we're the same age. We actually went to high school together. And I was trying not to bring this up on the podcast, but it's super funny. I remember you for two things. One, because you committed to Loyola as the FOIO guy
Yeah.
your sophomore year, which was unheard of.
At first, it was North Carolina.
Okay,
And
first
then I
North Carolina.
decommitted, and then I went to commit to Loyola.
So that all blew all of our minds.
Yeah, I remember nobody believed me. I
It was
came into
amazing.
school, I told everybody, and everyone's like, "No, you didn't." And I'm like, I called my mom. I was like, "Mom, did I actually?" And everyone's telling me I didn't. She's like,
Mom, they're
"Yeah."
calling me gay on the internet. Is this a problem?
Yeah, it was funny.
So that was what. And the other thing was, I knew you as Mikey or Smiley.
Smiley.
And so we're the same age, young guy. What was your trajectory like? What got you into this? What sparked it? Because a lot of people have ideas,
Yeah.
but how did you put this stuff actually into fruition?
So I was definitely the kid in high school that like I was full go. I'm gonna play college lacrosse. Like I didn't go out. I didn't do anything. Like that's what I knew I wanted to do. So when I committed to Loyola at such a young age, I was like that's all I knew. I didn't really know anything else. Like I couldn't focus on what my major in college was gonna be. I mean, when I got to Loyola, I didn't even know how college was broken up into semesters. I had no idea. I was so hyper focused on playing lacrosse. I didn't really look at the other aspects of college or life moving forward. So by my sophomore, junior year of college, they were like, "Hey, you have to declare for a major." I'm like, "A major?
Thought I was playing lacrosse.
What are we doing here?" Like, yeah. So I actually didn't pick my major. My academic advisor picked it. It was communications with a specialty because there's communications, there's digital media, marketing, and advertising underneath communications. So I went from all three because I couldn't figure out what was the easiest to play with my schedule. So I was able to actually get a really good grasp of all three because I was able to basically almost max out doing all three, but not actually finishing all three.
Okay.
So I took all the classes for all three I don't even know what they're called. I have no idea. I'm just saying.
But the goal was to optimize your life for playing lacrosse.
Yeah, it wasn't actually for going to school. Like, if my mom and dad are going to listen to this, like, I feel horrible, but that's really the truth. I'm very fortunate that I was in a position where, I was receiving a lot of scholarship money to be able to go play there. So, again, it really wasn't my main focus, but it's still, like, I had to do it. So, if I was going to do it, I was like, you know what, I'm going to at least, like, figure out how to optimize my schedule while taking something that's, like, semi-easy and semi, like, useful maybe in the real world. So by my senior year, I was taking graphic design classes.
Okay.
I had I actually kind of enjoyed them. I learned a lot doing them, and it was more of just like, hey, it's easy. I'm kind of good at it. I'll do it for a little bit. And during the process, I took a lot of classes where it was like, hey, you're creating this advertising packet for a fake company, or hey, start a company and let's make a logo for it.
Okay.
So a lot of my classes were kind of teaching me how to make branding or brands and my own marketing packages and all that stuff. And one day my roommate was like, "Hey, like, that's cool. What is that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's for a gym." It wasn't even for Iron Vault. It was like for some Revolution. It was like some random gym company I was like making a logo for. And I played lacrosse, obviously. So what I would do was one of my classes was like, hey, make a logo for a self-business. So what I did was I made a logo for a fitness lacrosse brand where I would train kids and teach them how to take face-offs.
Okay.
So that summer I was teaching kids how to take face-offs. The name of the company was Game Within a Game. I made a logo for it. I was like crushing it. I'm like, hey, like this is like, hey, you play at Iona Prep. Like I'll train you. I'll teach you. I think that's kind of where the entrepreneurship started, maybe.
Like bridging something you were passionate about.
Yeah, being
into
able to
making some
make
money.
money off of myself, I guess, in a way.
You're like, wait, this school stuff actually works?
Yeah,
I can
honestly,
actually learn stuff.
like one of the big things that I feel like a lot of younger kids will ask me, they'll ask me now, they're like, hey, what did you major in college? And I tell them, like, I majored in communications, but I used what I learned, what I had available to apply to maybe in the real world. Which looking back probably wasn't the best decision. Like now I'm happy I did it.
I mean,
but
look
back
at what
then
you
I
built.
had no idea. Yeah.
What do you think were the three biggest things or the few biggest things that you learned in school that you use all the time?
A lot of graphic stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest regret I have is not taking any entrepreneurship or like mathematics or accounting classes. I dropped out of all those. I lasted like maybe a week in all of them. But definitely like the graphic design stuff, the marketing stuff, a bunch of the advertising classes. The one I specifically remember was, I think, media ethics. It was a class where they talked about, like how you manipulate your following to, maybe like how you talked about the Tesla post.
Okay.
Like that's a media ethics class kind of conversation. Like, hey, this is going to be controversial, but you have to be able to play both sides. We definitely don't do that anymore.
Okay.
We only go one way, but as a company, but I think that was probably one class that I remember specifically being like, I'm definitely going to use this in life somehow. But yeah, I think for me, for college, I really got lucky that I think it was just kind of a perfect storm.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
So like,
And I'm not talking about lucky. Like I'm not saying that like I'm just the luckiest person. Like I definitely had to use what I had available.
Right.
But that's just like the type of person I am as well. Like I don't panic. Not that I don't panic, but I don't let those things really hinder me as a person. Like there's an issue, like let me try to fix it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people can get scared if they don't have a direction.
Yeah.
But it seems like you, if I'm understanding you correctly, it feels like you kind of just stayed the course, and maybe that would be a good advice to young people in college or just try
Yeah,
like just
absolutely.
stay the course, and as long as you're working hard, you will find a path. Do you feel like that?
Yeah, I definitely think that I don't do well with complacency.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I do get really complacent, things change drastically. And I think during college, I was kind of at a point where I'm like, okay, I'm not actually getting ready for anything moving forward in life. So let me try to take advantage of what I have right now and use it maybe in the future. Actually, when I graduated college, I tell the story a lot. I took one interview for a real job after college. I went and got a interview at some advertising firm in Long Island.
Okay.
And I don't even know how I think it was like a spam email that like they sent out to 1,000 people. And I was like, oh, I got an email for a job. And I remember I called my mom. I'm like, hey, I need to go get a new suit. Like I want to look good or whatever. I was like, hey, Dad, can I take your Tesla? I'm going to like look good. And this was the moment I realized that I was not set up for working in that type of corporate world.
Interesting.
I bought a suit. I wore a really nice watch. I got my hair cut. I went the whole extra mile. I pull up to this business and I get out of the car and I'm looking around the parking lot and I'm like, this is like not really the nicest place. I walk in, there's two people sitting in the waiting room looking around and I'm like, there's something fishy going on here. Like it almost looks like it's a temporary business model or business or office. I go in for the first interview. I sit down. The guy that's interviewing me, oversized suit. No, it was just like I'm already more prepared than you for this.
Sounds like a skit from.
It was yeah.
From I Think You Should Leave.
Yeah, it was like I was uncomfortable, and the guy, after we finished talking, he was like, "Oh, we're gonna expedite you for the next interview." I'm like, all right, that's weird. So I sit down. I'm like, "Oh, this is our boss. Whatever." Same thing. I have a nicer suit. A nice. I could tell I was more articulate with my words. And not that I'm not saying that I'm just a better person. I just could tell that if this is how my life is going to be, where I'm always going to be comparing myself to my boss in a sense, and that my boss is not even at the same standard that I'm trying to hold myself, I don't want to work in this type of environment.
Maybe you need to be your own boss.
And that was, I remember I got up, I went home, I called my dad on the way home because my dad's an entrepreneur, and I told him, I was like, listen, this is not for me. This is definitely not for me. And he was like, yeah. And I mean, he understood because my dad is also an entrepreneur, but I think he was the only person, or obviously not the only person, but probably the one person that was like, yeah, you should let's go do your own thing. Like, we'll figure it out.
So how important, that brings up two interesting points. How important is being decisive like that as an entrepreneur and a businessman? Because it seems like you had a decision to make, you made it, and you stuck with it. Is that important for you?
Yeah, I think one thing that I do struggle with, which is, it's good and bad. I think that there are some directions within the company that we've made where I've been like, I'm not listening to anybody. We're going to go do it. Is that I have a really weird balance of taking everybody's opinion or nobody's opinion.
Interesting.
And that's
sorry to interrupt you. What determines that for you? Like, what sort of a situation do you say, I need to listen to somebody? And what sort of a situation are you like, screw you, I'm doing my own thing?
if I'm sitting on it for too long. So like there are a lot, even like, so like, let's go back to this, like IVX, there are a lot of things that, the layout of the design, everything that we've been talking about, there are a lot of things where I'll talk to my team and I'll sit there for like a week being like, I don't really like that. Like, what do you guys think? What do you guys, if I get into a pattern of asking everybody their opinion, then I'm not really committed to it. And that's when I know, like, okay, scratch this idea. Let's move on to something
That's
else.
interesting.
Yeah.
So if you trust your gut, if you're being indecisive about something, to you that's a red flag, meaning maybe this is something I shouldn't do.
Yeah, exactly.
I see that with us too. Like the customers that come in that make a decisive decision about something with a car. Are you going to tint it? Are you going to wrap it? Are we going to paint this? Are you going to do that? Those people that can make the decision and be like, it's fine, are usually the most successful customers that we have.
Yeah.
And the people who are, oh, what do you think? Should I do it? Should I do that? Some of them do well, but you can just tell that there's an aspect of their life that's not in line.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Like you need to make the decision. Like you are the
100%.
final person to make the decision. And I think for me, there's a lot of situations where I'm like, oh, like I already know. I've already texted the 6 people in my first group of my chat, asking them a question. That's it. I gotta move on to something else. Like this is messed up already.
So
I'm focusing too much on it.
tell me about how that plays into the gym. So you have 1 gym, 2 gyms. Tell me
So
about
we have
it.
2 gyms right now. One in Scarsdale and one in South Norwalk, Connecticut.
Okay. And how big are they? Is it
They're both around 10,000 square feet.
wow?
Yeah, they're pretty. They're good sizes right now.
And you manage both by yourself?
So we have a facility manager for both, and then they each have their own team of staff.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's my brother and I. I brought my brother and his co-founder, co-owner. I want to say 2020, 2021-ish. Yeah.
How do you like working with family?
I mean, my brother's always been there. My family always has been there helping me from the beginning. But it's more of like I gave him more of like an ownership, like 50%, because he's way smarter than me business wise, like financially, accounting wise. Like there's a lot of things that he's in law school right now, so like there's a lot of things that he knows that honestly, like probably without him we wouldn't be the same position, or I think we'd be at the same position, but maybe not as securely as we are now.
Right.
But it's tough. You work with all your family.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's tough.
But
Yeah.
there's 2 aspects of it that I always like to talk about. One is you can't trust anybody the way you can trust family.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And I think like a lot of people will say, don't go into business with family. I happen to disagree because even though it took me a long time to get where I am, where I feel comfortable with having my older brother also be my boss, I'm happy where we are now.
Yeah.
And I feel like at the very end of the day, I can lean on him and I can know that we're family. We're gonna get through this shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So,
There's definitely been days where I like don't talk to my brother for a while.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, like there'll be days where like I'll be like, you effed up, like you don't talk to me for the rest of the day, or I'll be like, hey, I need you to pay this invoice, and he like won't answer me, and I'm like, listen, pick up your phone, don't ignore me.
Yeah.
I'm the only person you don't ignore.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but definitely working with family. I worked for my dad for a year or so, and yeah, it was definitely tough. I was always getting yelled at.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm always the fall guy.
The worst was when I would get yelled at work and then I'd have to sit next to my dad eating a pork chop at the dinner table being like, my mom's like, how was your guys' day? And I'm like, it's good. It's really good. What, so back to the gym. Tell me about how you guys differentiate Iron Vault from a Planet Fitness or a Lifetime.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's kind of pretty much the same business model that you guys probably follow.
Okay.
I think the story I tell everyone is, if you were to pull out your phone right now and call for pizza, there's 1,000 pizza places within a city block. And for us, it's the same kind of business model. Within our town alone, there's 14, 15 gyms. It's crazy.
Wow.
So how do you differentiate yourself? It's things like this, like things that we're doing, our branding. We reinvest more into our marketing side of like advertising, not really marketing for logistically, more of like, how do we portray ourselves as this like different brand? When we first started, our motto was more than a gym, it's a lifestyle.
Cool.
Which quickly got picked up by every other gym in the area. So it was kind of like, okay, now let's move on to something else.
At least you know you're doing something right.
Yeah.
If other people are copying
Oh,
you.
absolutely. Yeah, we see that all the time with what we do now. But yeah, I think for us, it's more about our branding. People come to us because they align with our branding more than our gym. So we actually had Arsenal, who's our equipment manufacturer, fly out a couple months ago probably, and film like a mini documentary about us.
That's awesome.
Because we were their 3rd largest fully outfitted facility, which we didn't know about until they showed up and told us. But they followed me for a couple of days, like kind of like showing the gym, showing the brand, and we learned that so for us, when we first started, we were like, okay, how do we become different from everybody else? And in 2019, nobody was buying fully outfitted gyms from one manufacturer. They were, like, what's the best budget? How do we buy this equipment? Oh, I like the way this one looks, or hey, I like the way this one feels. And for us, I was like, listen, I'm not a gym expert. I mean, I've been in gyms my entire life, but I wasn't oh, I like the way this machine works. Don't use this one. This one's better for contraction. This one's better, blah, blah, blah. So I only knew one thing, how to make something look really good for advertising and marketing and branding. So we reached out to them. We had them outfit our first gym, which was really small. It started out as like 3,000 little square foot, like little.
Where was that?
Flex space. It was in Scarsdale. Okay. Same place we are now. Little 3,000 square foot box space. We outfitted with as much as I could afford at the time with Arsenal stuff. And then as we grew, we kept buying only Arsenal stuff. So we kept that image. Fast forward 2023, everybody does that now.
Really?
So now a majority of gyms will do the same thing we did, where they kind of fully outfit with the same equipment.
Right. Like Rogue or whatever.
Yeah. So like Arsenal really now does like full gym builds. So when they came to us, like they use our gym now, which is it was frustrating at the time, but now I really don't care. Use us to advertise that they do full gym outfitting. So now you get to really see how important it is what we do for branding, because now there are gyms that do that all over the country. Right. They have unlimited budget. They go like, oh, I'm going to go buy $500,000 worth of gym equipment to make it all look the same, just like this company. Wow. Oh, but I don't have the branding and the marketing that they have. It's not real. It's like facilitated. It's not organic. Yeah, it's not real. So I think that's like how, we've been able to differentiate ourselves. And also on the social media side, we really don't post a lot of gym related content as much. So one analogy that I use is if you ever pull up Red Bull on Instagram, Red Bull doesn't post Red Bull cans. Right. They post the ideology around Red Bull. And that's kind of what we do. We don't post, for 2023, we haven't posted that much. We've kind of shifted our focus, but we don't post gym equipment or somebody working out. We post the people that are there, that's awesome. The feel. And, yeah, we made that shift going into 2023, 2022, 2023, and it's been a lot more fun. The content is way more fun to make. Oh yeah. And I think it's helped us a lot. I mean, we were actually planning on opening our third gym. Wow, third gym this summer. Well, last summer actually. Wow. And we kind of made a shift, reinvested back into this product. Yeah.
I want to ask you a little bit about the IV stuff, but just one more question to go back. So, or actually two. Do you feel like the brand that you've built aligns well with Arsenal's brand? Or do you feel like you guys align well?
Yeah, so it's funny because we do align really well. Like we're probably one of their favorite gyms. Of the three, there's the guy who owns it. He has a gym out in Vegas. It's called Dragon's Lair. It's a big insane. Yeah. So it's actually I think we're better. So like the guys who actually built it said that. I'm not saying that just because it's my gym. Actually, being honest. And then there's another gym that's actually they're friends with the guy who owns it or whatever, and it's in Nashville. It's called Carbon Culture. And I honestly do think that we started out being like really well aligned with their company, and now it's kind of like we carry the weight more. He's laughing, but it's true because I think companies now, we've kind of made a shift now where we used to be like, oh, we want to work with those guys. And now it's like, okay, now people are coming to us and now they want to align with what we do, which is cool to see. But I think we started out really aligning well with them, and now it's kind of like, okay, it's kind of like the relationship is more leaning towards us now. So maybe we shouldn't tag them in things because they're not really reciprocating it.
To align with companies and brands that you work with.
I think it's tough because you have to walk a fine line between imitating and collaborating. So it's tough because a lot of companies might see like what we do and they're like, oh, that's cool and original. Instead of us doing our own thing, or instead of us, like maybe reaching out to them like, hey, we should work on this together, they'll go out and do their own thing. And it's tough because I still consider us a small business. So it's tough to see that. You see a lot of companies that like go out and do gun stuff or do all this cool stuff, and you're like, you should have just maybe reached out to us instead of trying to do it yourself.
Interesting, yeah.
But yeah, I think Arsenal is a great. I love them. I mean, I'm really good friends with the president and a bunch of people there, so we love them. It's just they need to pull their weight a little bit more.
Well, you heard it, Arsenal.
Yeah, listen, if they're watching, Brad will hit me up. He'll text me later.
Like, what the fuck?
Why'd you say that? Well, give me a bigger discount.
There you go. How important is merchandise and merchandising to your brand?
I mean, it's huge. So one of my biggest things was when I was younger in 2019, when I first started, it was like if I couldn't have a gym in every major city, I could sure as hell have somebody wearing a shirt in every major city.
I think that's huge.
Yeah.
We have a very same philosophy.
Yeah,
similar.
it's if I can't physically have a location there yet, I could have somebody wearing a shirt.
right.
So for us, it was like, how do we have to make products that people want to buy. So I think honestly, I'll tell you a story. One of the coolest things that ever happened was somebody was going to London, and she was in London actually. Yeah, and she came back to the gym. She was a member. She showed me a picture. She's like, "Oh, look, I was in London International Airport, and here somebody was wearing your shirt."
Wow.
And that's actually not the first order. So we can actually we get orders to like Australia, London. We get a
that's
lot of
sick.
international
That's
orders.
perfect
yeah.
concept right there, man.
Yeah, so it's fun. It's cool. We've shifted a little bit of our focus with the merch, making it more exclusive instead of coming out like every month we drop something.
Okay.
Just because I think the model of making it more exclusive is probably better
Yeah.
than mass making
It's
more
like
drops.
the Supreme or the Kith thing.
Yeah, and that's really kind of like the thing I've always wanted to do is make it more of a product that if we attach our name to it, the idea of it becomes bigger. It becomes better, more expensive, more of like an exclusive, like
Right.
an Off-White kind of thing.
Right.
Where it's like if Off-White puts their name on a pair of Nikes, it's like,
They go for double.
yeah.
I've been seeing lots of photos going around Instagram. Travis Scott just put out a tennis shoe, and the one with the conventional swoosh goes for like $200 on StockX.
Yeah.
The one where he literally just and put it on goes for like $1,200.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So that's
crazy.
That's really a really good point. Is we've had the same conversation, Elvis and I, about there's only so many cars that we can fix and so many areas where people will actually ship a car to us. But if there's some kid in Iowa who loves Porsches, if he wears a J&B Body Works Porsche shirt,
Yeah. No, I agree. I think when I first started, like that was kind of the direction I always knew I wanted to go. So like going back to the beginning, I said it's not Iron Vault Gym or Iron Vault Fitness. It's Iron Vault. It's IV. That's the brand name, like a Nike, something where it's not a name of a business. It's a name for a brand.
right?
So that was kind of like really important for
It's
us.
an idea.
Yeah, it was like IV, IVX, Iron Vault. Like, oh, what is Iron Vault? Oh, if you don't know what it is, that means we're doing our job. So that was like kind of like one of the little stories I tell is when I opened my second gym, we had a lady walk by. I was there like opening boxes or something, and she like looks in. She's like, "What is this? Iron Vault? What is this?" And I remember being like, I like sat there for a second, and she's like, "Is it a donut shop? Is it a bank?" And I'm like, we're doing a good job.
Right.
Because when the gym equipment comes, then you'll know it's a gym, but the
Right.
brand itself could keep growing.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So like first of all, you have somebody, I don't know if that lady aligned with your core customer group, but you had somebody who either was or wasn't asking you that question. That means that you've done enough with your brand to where it sparks interest.
So most people will see that story or hear that story and be like, that doesn't make any sense. Like you're ruining your brand. Like you need to make it a gym, whatever. But for me, I was like, oh, that's perfect. Like it's exactly what I wanted. I want you to have a mysterious idea of what the brand is.
Right.
Because then I can manipulate and grow and figure out, different niches for it rather than only being a gym. So like when gyms open, they're like something fitness, something barbell, something gym.
Right.
You just limited yourself now.
Right. You put yourself in a box.
Yeah, you can't create a brand from that. Nobody wants to go buy a shirt unless you're like a Gold's Gym that says Gold's Gym.
Right.
Like, I mean, yeah, they made $1 billion, but now it's kind of dying
It's
out.
dead, yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me about this. What is this? Where does this align with what we're talking about? You're saying niche. What am I holding here?
So this is a new product. It'll be coming out spring 2024. It's called IVX Energy or Drink IVX. It started out as kind of like a joke. Whoops, sorry. So it started kind of out as a joke. We get a lot of energy drinks between both my gyms, like at least $50,000 a month. Like
Wow.
Pallets, because our members just destroy them. So it started out as, we should just make our own stuff at this point.
Yeah.
And it actually became a really good brand aspect for us from Iron Vault because it's almost like, hey, again, following that same model. If I can't have a gym in every single major city, I could have my drink in every single major gym in every major city. I could have somebody wearing a shirt in that same gym. That's kind of like the aspect of it, but we couldn't attach Iron Vault to it.
Interesting.
Because no other gym is really going to put an Iron Vault energy drink in their
That's a great
fridge.
point I didn't think about.
So we had to make our whole new company for it.
And it's kind of a lateral step.
Yeah, it is. And
Like how often if I go to the gym, which as you can tell, it's not since the wedding, it's not been that. I'm gonna get a membership soon. I'll crush an
Yeah,
energy
no.
drink. I'm not gonna say their name is the one that starts with a C that's popping off everywhere lately.
Oh yeah. Actually, what's really funny is
Those
my
brands, it's
cousin's
all
husband works for
IBS.
them. He's
Oh
like,
yeah.
it's a big deal for them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna have to make a change soon.
Yeah.
But no,
Work for Mikey.
it's a great company. It's a great idea.
What's
I
the brand identity behind this? What are you shooting for? What do you
okay,
want people to think
so
when they see
basically the
this?
whole idea behind it is it's kind of funny, but it's kind of like an inside joke. Is you ever seen the movie Wall-E?
Yeah, of course.
So you know, like when the guys, all the fat people at the end, like get off the ship and they're like, "What is going on here?"
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of like what society has become with energy drinks.
Really?
The flavoring is always something crazy. There's always multiple different combos. Nobody knows what they actually taste
Yeah.
like. But at the same time, you're still gonna buy it because you're like, "Oh my god!" Like because you're so manipulated now to be like,
love
"Oh, I need to
unicorns."
try it." Yeah. So for us, it's a zero sugar, 0 calories, zero color, zero BS energy drink that has basically the most essential 200 milligrams of green tea caffeine, your vitamin B3, B6, B12. It has your magnesium, potassium, sodium for
Oh, wow.
electrolytes. Very, very bare minimum, which kind of follows the same ideology around Iron Vault. Very no BS, very minimal, simple branding, simple everything. So like on the side of the panel, we actually have like this little like crazy little story. But the whole idea around it is basically that little story, and it's a great product. We're really excited for it to launch.
It looks amazing,
2024.
dude.
Yeah, I've
No smoke. This looks
yeah
incredible.
yeah. It's I worked really hard on it.
What are some things you learned
So again,
building a product ground up?
going back to really the stuff I learned in college, things that I like package design. I remember I took a package design class, and I'm like, I'm never gonna use that ever. And now I'm like learning. I'm like, wow. I'm sitting here in my office at 2 a.m. learning Figma, how to recreate a website, and I'm like, wow. I should have definitely paid more attention in that class.
Should have kept my textbooks.
I should have kept them. They were so much. They were expensive. I should have kept them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've learned a lot of about like how package design is essentially like a warfare. Like you're fighting for shelf space, fighting for for product. It's really tough, but I love it. Honestly, it's like a whole new realm for me. It's like something else that like I can like teach myself and learn, and then maybe like teach somebody else take over for me.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
What's something about running a business or running the gym, either specific or broad, that you don't think people understand?
It's a lot. I tell people that ask me, I don't really like to. I mean, I'm gonna answer the question. I'm just saying
Yeah.
so that the viewers know.
Don't come up to me in the street
No,
and
no,
ask me these
yeah,
questions.
like I'm gonna answer the questions because I like you and I like this.
Thank
the
you.
whole
I
thing
really
here.
appreciate it.
But one of the most frustrating things I get as a young business owner is people underestimate how much I've worked to get to where I am, and they think that it's easy for anybody can do. So like opening a gym, the business model is very simple. I think it's really simple. You buy equipment, you sit there all day and
Membership
let people
fee.
come in. Yeah. It's a lot easier said than done.
Right, of course.
To run a business, and that's what I've learned is when I first started it was I have to sit at the gym from 5 a.m. to midnight. I would honestly never have time to work out because I'm the only person working the counter for 2 years, sitting there. I bought a hammock to sleep in the hammock, so I think I had like that kind of like upcoming like cool like influencer story of the grind, but it's not what I let use to identify me as a young business owner. It's more of like my mindset of how I started the business. That is what helped carry the business at this point. But to go back to what you said, I think it was hard. Like I said, there were days where I was the only person working, like sitting there from 5 a.m. to midnight, having to clean the entire gym. And then we got key fob access, which helped a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
But now it makes life a lot more stressful because
There's
now I
also a
don't
lot of
sleep.
liability there.
Yeah, now I don't sleep. But it's just like any job, honestly, to launch a gym. It's really hard. You have to be willing to be the only person there working, to go the extra mile, to get on your hands and knees, build the equipment, fix the equipment, clean the equipment. But every opportunity I get to still do it again, I take advantage
Yeah.
and do it.
Well, I think like my dad always says this, and I don't know. There's a grain of salt that needs to be taken with it, but behind every successful business is a miserable business owner.
Yeah, no.
And it's true. I mean, he loves what he does. We love what we do. But my dad at 64 years old, if a bumper needs to get sanded, he's on his hands and knees with his spectacles on, with the light like this, trying to sand out.
My
that
dad's the
spot.
same way.
But
same
you
way.
need to.
Yeah, no, and I'm trust me. The other day I was walking through my New York gym and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna clean everything. Even though it's clean, I'm gonna re-clean it just because I want everything to be done my way.
Mhm.
So like the analogy I use is some people collect Rolexes. I collect gym equipment. Like
Mhm.
I just love walking in, seeing something that I bought, a piece of equipment, fixing it or working on it. And a lot of people really aren't committed to that. Like if you
Yeah.
will go into another gym, I'm not going to say these gyms, they're really down bad
Mm.
because people think that they're about that life of owning a gym where you have to be there all the time and take care of it, and they're really not.
Right.
And I'm very fortunate that I have a great team where I don't have to be at the gyms all the time.
That's awesome.
But at the same time, like my staff knows that like I'm very particular and I will do it. Like you just sit down, I'll do it for
Right.
you.
Have you over time tried to work on kind of relinquishing a little bit of that control over stuff
Yeah, so I think delegation is a tough word for me.
to say, or
Very it's both. Honestly, Iron Prep did not help me. Did not repair me in life. But delegation.
step it up, brother.
Yeah, literally, it's down bad. I heard. But yeah, delegation is tough. Being able to delegate things, I walk a fine line between over delegating and not delegating enough.
Okay.
So like there are a lot of things that where I'll say, hey, like I'm gonna let my team take care of this, and I let them take care of it, and then I'm like, okay, I would have done it a completely different way, so I'm just gonna do it for you next time.
Mm.
Which it's definitely not scalable, but that's yeah, it's tough. That's like a big thing that we're trying to work on right now with
Yeah.
me.
It sounds like you're addicted to the hustle and the grind, which I think is what
I
has
don't think
made
my
you so
fiance would say
successful.
the same thing. But
No?
yes, no, I'm kidding. No, yeah, you're right. I think like you just said, it's not. I'm addicted to the hustle, but at the same time, like I'm trying to get better at it.
Yeah.
Because it's really not scalable, and that's like one thing that we're gonna be focusing a lot on 2024 moving forward. That we've obviously focused on like really hard the last 4 or 5 years, but for specifically 2024 is how do we make everything that we do as an operations standpoint scalable to that
Mm.
next level.
That's a really good point.
So like for us, like I'll dabble in. So for like merch, making T-shirts, the way that we do it is not scalable. We have a third party person that makes it and packages it and does all our stuff for us in house at my other facility.
Okay.
It's just not scalable what we're doing.
Right.
So for us to get to that next level, how do we do it? Well, we have to take control of that product. We have
Right.
to take control of the manufacturing, the packaging, the shipping and handling, which is a lot, but I like to be in control of everything that I can possibly be in. So that's something that we're trying to figure out for 2024 and so on. There's a lot of things that we're trying to make more scalable.
Well, that's huge. One of the things that what you were saying kind of reminds me of when I asked about what don't people understand. You ever watch the show The Bear?
No.
Okay, so it's one of the things that I like to compare our business to. Just any business owner would understand is the restaurant business because it's insane. The only thing that's different is the restaurant business seems to have no margins, but nothing I think is more reviewed than a restaurant.
Yeah.
On Google, which I have another question for you that I have to remember to ask you about. But I was watching the show The Bear, and he runs a Michelin star restaurant, and he has this great saying that just like blew my mind, and it's every day has to be the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And if it's not, then you're not doing it correctly. Like I had a gentleman
That's
on
a good one.
yesterday, Ryan Friedman. He sells collector's cars in Long Island. He's got a massive following, and he said, "I take my phone in the shower." He's like, "There's no downtime.
Yeah.
I will answer a call to go get a car in Connecticut."
Yeah. I'm like 100% the same way. Like my phone lit. Like I'm probably 13, 14 hours of screen time daily, which is hard. I'm actually trying to stop doing that because I have 2 kids, so I'm trying to like be more
Yeah, of
there.
course.
But it's hard. I don't really expect a lot of people to understand that. I get a lot of people like they're like, "Oh, get off your phone. You're always on your phone." I'm like,
Like, dude, be me for 5
a
minutes.
millisecond. I'll tell you too. A millisecond of me not being on top of something, I lose sleep over it.
Oh yeah.
And it's hard. I really don't expect anybody that's not in my position or in a position like that to understand. But it's really tough.
It may be unrelatable for people to understand, but owning a business, and I don't own a business yet, but I am being groomed along with my brother to own JMB Body Works. It's like adult babysitting.
No, yeah.
And it's
it is.
It's not that maybe you don't trust people or maybe that people can't do a good job. It's that people clock out.
Yeah.
They go home.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
J&B Body Works, the title, the name will be on that awning forever.
Yeah.
So when I go home, that building's still there.
Yep.
I still have somebody's Bugatti sitting in my shop.
Yeah, that's.
So it's like I can't and it's the same thing with Iron Bolt.
No, yeah.
It doesn't just reflect on the gym. It reflects on Mike
Yeah.
and his family.
Yeah, I think when I first started, that was like 100% my mindset, and I think I definitely I fell off a little bit from that, like having that mindset of like if I leave this place, it's representing me. I think probably maybe like 5 minutes. One day I was just like I need to unplug and I need to walk away. And within 5 minutes, I was like, I already messed
gotta
up.
go
I should have
back.
done that. Yeah, it's tough. It is tough. I completely agree. When you walk out of that business, like you're not associated with it, but you are at all times. Um, and when I first started, I had people that didn't even know I owned it. I still have people that are.
When you walk in,
I
they're like,
still have people to this day that don't know I own it. Like I'll
Really?
walk in the gym and like a person that's been a member with us for like 4 years will be like, "Hey, like
there's no toilet paper in the
I'll be
bathroom.
like, I got you. Like I got it. Like I'm gonna do it anyway. But
Yeah,
like
yeah,
thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny though. I love being young. Honestly, when I first opened, I used to hate it telling people I used to own it. I used to like hide in the back.
Is it an embarrassment thing
Like,
almost?
No, more of just like I didn't want it to diminish the brand or diminish the
Interesting.
product because a young person opened it, and I quickly learned that that's probably not the best thing to do because you want to be proud of what you've built. But I definitely went through a phase where I was like kind of hiding from the idea that I am the owner. Yeah, I was. I mean, I was young. I first started it in 2019. I don't even know how old I am right now. I forgot. How old are you?
I'm 27.
Okay,
turning
I'm
27.
27.
So
Yeah,
you're right there.
Yeah, I actually, yeah, I think that's why I forget my age because I used to hide it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So one of the things that when we were doing research on the gym, my cousin is a member. He's actually the way that you fell back into my life is there was a car at the shop that said Orefice, and I was like, that's funny. I went to school with Mike Orefice, and my cousin was like, yeah, it's Mike, and I was like, that's Mike. He was like, yeah, it's his dad's car. I was like, what are you talking about? So I did a ton of research into the company, and that's where I built this like super massive respect for what you're doing. One of the things that I saw was, and if you don't feel comfortable talking about this, I completely understand, but you guys have a really awesome way of dealing with reviews. So we've done. I'll preface this a little bit. We have my dad will drive to Philadelphia on Friday night, knowing that my sister is giving birth in an hour. If a customer asks for a valve stem cap, right? Like that's how he is for a review, and we've had a few bad reviews as any company, and my dad's terrified of it. Something that I really admire about what you do is you don't take shit.
I love them.
Can you tell me a little bit about that? Do you have any like crazy stories? Because I read a few.
Yeah, I'll tell you one. I don't know if this guy wrote a review, but I have a crazy story. Yeah, before I go into the story though, the reviews are awesome. Yeah. So we love those because they just they give us the opportunity to highlight who we are as people or as a company when we respond.
What it feels like.
Yeah, so like when I first started, we would have like bad reviews like, oh, this place is small, blah, 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 blah. And like we didn't respond to those.
Right.
The ones that get like a little personal, like we love slapping back on them. So actually, I'll tell you a story. So in my other gym, we have like these like 8-foot wall murals there. And one of them is me at the range. I'm training and I have a gun on my hip. We had a guy who walked in. He looked at the wall mural. He walks up to it. He looks at it, takes a picture of it. Comes back to the front desk. He looks at the guy who's working the desk and he goes, that guy looks like a Nazi. Wow. And my manager's like, well, two things. One, he doesn't look like a Nazi. Two, Nazis don't have beards.
He's got a huge beard.
So,
a black
I don't know
hair.
what you're doing. I don't know what you're saying.
Wow.
But the reviews are funny. The COVID reviews were funny. And I think that honestly is what stemmed for people to like us maybe more, because like politically we would like clap back on them being like, this place killed my grandmother, or this place should kill them, blah blah blah.
Somebody said that?
So, well, we had people that would like email and call us during COVID and be like, you killed my grandmother. Hang up the phone. Like,
Are you?
All right, thank you.
So that's interesting. I feel like that is in more of a new school ideology. So we get tons of people calling me gay on the internet. So like, or whatever. Like,
dude, I'm married. What are you talking about?
Well, we had a guy who every single video we posted in the beginning, and I always remember this, would say like crazy stuff, like your hair sucks, your voice is shitty.
That's
like, all this
awesome,
stuff.
though. I love that.
Dude, one of our most popular videos at the time was a clapback video where now he doesn't comment at all. Yeah. We were like, I tried to make a video. My brother pushes me out in the video, and he's like, "Get out of here! Your voice sucks." Whatever.
We did the same thing. We had
that stuff is
awesome.
awesome.
A reel that like somebody gave us like an essay, like a 10-page like PLA format freaking essay about bashing at one of my locations, and we made a full reel about it, and people loved it. Like 1,000 likes. People were like, this is so funny. Oh my god. I'm like, okay, I don't want these reviews, but I'm all for them. They're hilarious.
Yeah.
I just think if you take that much time out of your day to leave a business and go write a 10-page essay review, you must have liked it, or you must be that much in your head
Right.
if you have that much.
So you
effort
flip it
and
into a
much time.
positive.
Exactly. Yeah.
I have a few rules about whether I've never written a bad. Actually, I did write one bad review, and it hit all my boxes. I'll tell you why. So, yeah, and it was. I think it was justifiable. You tell me. So, we're in a business where something happens. I fix a car. A lot of people don't understand the automotive industry. If you get hit on your right fender and your left hood has a chip in it, and I have to blend your hood on the right side, you come back and you see the very left corner of your hood hasn't been fixed, people lose their mind. What they don't understand is the insurance company is not going to pay us to fix that.
Yeah,
but they're like, well, you did it. Why didn't you just do it? It's like, well, because it would have cost me an extra $3,000 out of pocket to do that. Why would I be responsible for that? We touched it up. We sanded it and polished it. We made it look 99% better out of our own pocket. Like, then they'll go and post a review without coming to us and saying something. So I need to check a box of saying, if I come to a company and they don't perform satisfactory service, that's fine. I need to be able to talk to somebody and say, can we fix this? I give them multiple opportunities to fix it. And at that point, if they don't, I will step back.
That makes sense.
I don't do it. We were in Florida, and my mom had forgotten her medication, and it was one of those medications where if you don't take it for a day or two, you can have seizures, panic attack, like whatever. We went to CVS. Her doctor called, filled the prescription in, and she was in the middle of having like a severe panic attack because of it. And I went to the front and I said to the guy, listen, I know you're busy. My mom is in dire need of medication right now. Can you please fill her prescription before things get bad? And he said, no. And I looked at him, I said, you don't understand that you are putting my mom's life in danger right now. I understand this is not your problem, but from human to human standpoint, can you just try to see this from my situation? And he said, no. And they basically, I got upset. It's my mom, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I got loud. They kicked us out. So I wrote a bad review.
Yeah, that's just.
It was a CVS. We went 4 miles away to a small family-owned pharmacy. They did it immediately, no questions asked.
That's why you shop small.
Shop small and support local businesses. So that was my review. I basically just said, don't trust the big brands with a robot on the phone to help you in times of dire need. Absolutely. If you need help, go to the and I basically. I don't even know if I wrote a bad review. I have to look back, or if I wrote a good review on their page while shitting on CVS, which is probably what I did.
Yeah, that sounds like it's more you than being a negative person.
Yeah.
But I think the COVID reviews are kind of funny because a lot of people will read those, and at first people would read them like, oh, I'm not going there. But me, I'm like, for the 10 bad reviews we got for being open during that, 100 people saw that and like, I need to go to the gym. I need the gym. Yeah. The gym is my life. I will sacrifice my health. I need to go to the gym. And that really helped us. That I think that was like a big moment for us as a business. A lot of people don't like when I talk about that, but I think that really did help us launch into that next level of a business because we were willing to put I was willing to put my life on the line for my business and for the people that were part of my business to be able to come.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, that's really
America, bro.
Yeah, really the bad reviews. Honestly, I love them. I love reading them.
I think they legitimize a business too because this is gonna sound like such a douchey humble brag, but for a while we only had 5-star reviews, and then we had a few bad ones, and people would come in and say, "Oh, I read your reviews," and if I was still better about a bad review, I'd be like, "Yeah, did you see the 1-star?" And they'd be like, "Honestly, that's the reason I came because at first I thought these were all fake. Who has 500 5-star reviews?" And then they see a few 1-star, 2 stars, and they're like, "Okay, so." Yeah. If you're a normal person, you know that things happen.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And honestly, if I don't really read reviews before I go to a business. I'm not the person that's on Yelp. I'm like, oh, this guy said this place sucks. Like, it's 2024. Everybody has different opinions. Something that might be shit to you might be amazing to somebody else.
For every seat, man.
And I'm just that's the way that I always am with other small businesses. Like, I will go make my own assumption of a business rather than read a review because there are a lot of bad people in this world that will rather pull somebody down than help another business up.
100%. Yeah. How important still in your life with everything you have going on, married, kids, 2 stores and a bunch of businesses, how important is car culture still to you?
I mean, it's important. I think, we have a bunch of things we gotta get wrapped, so
bring it on. Make some content, man.
Yeah, we gotta get a bunch of, I got a lot of like random stuff. I got two Hummer H1s. Actually the white one's my dad's. It's my dad's, my brother's, and the silver one's mine. I have that black Jeep still.
Yeah, we should do cool like Iron Bolt XJ.
Yeah, I kind of want to do something. I want to basically get every vehicle we have wrapped for our company, but basically make them where they're kind of like copy and paste different colorways.
Like
so
cohesive.
yeah,
aesthetic.
yeah. So that we can use them for marketing and stuff for IVX or Iron Vault.
We started this new series where basically people come in with quirky stuff like that Cayenne, and basically we start off like, what the hell is this thing? And then the owner will go around describing what it is and why it's important to them. So I'll definitely get you on for that stuff.
I would love to. I got to get that thing done up.
So when we first met in high school, honestly, probably the first reason that we ever talked was because I found out that you had a really nice car, an Audi. I'm a huge car guy, been around cars my whole life. And one of the things you told me was your dad was a member at Monticello.
Monticello, yeah.
And so did you ever get to track there?
I never tracked that car. My dad tracked it one time.
Tracked that car.
He blew all 4 brakes, brought it home. He was like, all 4 brakes are gone. I'm like, oh, okay. Great. It's heavy. It was a heavy car.
Yeah.
It was a heavy car. It had the V8. That was the first year. I think Lamborghini built that transmission for that car. I'm like really not in it anymore.
Well, that was like the first. That at the time RS5 wasn't in America.
Yeah,
that was the first gen, and
2013.
That's why when I saw it, like you could have had any nice car, and I would have been like, "That's sick." But that car was sick.
I got lucky with that car because my first car was the Hummer was my first car, but like my mom like refused to let me drive it, so my parents got me like an Audi A4 S4. I don't remember what it was. And I let a friend drive it. He crashed it, and that was like before Carfax like was a big deal. So my dad was like, "Let's fix." I'm pretty sure this shop fixed it.
Really?
I gotta look back. I think I got pictures of it, but I'm pretty sure they fixed it. And then you guys fixed it, and then my dad was like, "We have to sell it right now. Right now, we have to sell it." So my dad and I went to another Audi dealership. We saw this RS5 there, and he was like, "Okay, don't tell your mother. We'll sell this now, and listen, don't worry about it. We'll get it now." Like every car I've had, my dad's been like the instigator.
That's awesome.
Like my dad's been like, I hope I could be like this one day. My dad's been like, "Hey, like let's get this so like I can drive it. Just don't tell your mother."
Yeah. It's an Audi. It's got clocks,
Yeah, it's
right?
it. And I think that was what my dad. Yeah.
It's also got 500 horsepower.
Yeah, no big
Wide
deal.
hips and
Yeah.
fenders, yeah.
Oh, I remember I straight piped that car, that RS5. I remember
ridiculous.
that morning it was ridiculous. I remember the next morning it was like February. It was cold, and I turn it on. My mom's like, she looks at my dad. She's like, "What do you do?" My dad's like, "I don't know." And I'm like, "No, it just broke in. It had a break-in period."
Yeah. It's just loud now.
Yeah,
only when it's cold.
okay though. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I must have loved you for that one.
I actually had to get rid of it because I kept getting pulled over, which is so funny now because all my friends are cops, and like they still like they'll like laugh like, "Oh, you were that kid that we followed home."
Really?
Every weekend.
That's so funny. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm not really in the car space anymore. Maybe one day.
But
I just really think that New York, you can't have anything nice.
It's terrible.
I really don't think you can.
That's probably what goes along with your affinity to trucks. You're not bending a rim when it's a huge forged. Yeah, exactly.
God.
But do you have anything now that you can have fun with, like a little more sporty?
So my dad sold my dad a 911 Turbo S. He sold it. I sold my car. We bought a GT3 RS in 2016.
How do you like it?
It's got 1,000 miles on it.
Oh,
I
really?
put 1,000 miles on it in like 6-7 years. I love it. I mean, he doesn't drive it. I drive it more than he does. But we love it. It's so hard to drive nice things in New York. That's really my biggest problem.
Especially low.
Yeah, and the problem, honestly, really is it's a 2016, and I think, if I recall correctly, I think 2016 was the first year you had to have an allocation for the GT3 RS. So you had to own a 19 Spider to get the allocation to get that car. I think starting I might be completely wrong. I think 2017 is the year you could order it. 2016.
Well, that's when things started ramping up. With for sure.
Yeah. So I think from what I've read online, 2016 is one of the rarest years. So it's like don't sell it yet. But I don't know. I'm not.
Porsches always retain their value.
Yeah.
So you got good retention value keeping cars.
No,
trucks always the hold.
The Hummer H1s have been crushing online. Like they'll pivot and like they'll come right back up. Yeah, I really hate selling things.
So another question, few more questions I want to ask you that we ask a lot of our guests. First would be unlimited budget, dream 3-car garage. The rules are, first car has to be a daily driver. Okay. It has to be functional, a little bit more rational, something that you could groceries, put the kids in the back. The second car is your weekend car, something that you could carve the canyons, but you're okay putting some miles on. And then the third car is your grail car. What's a car that you would leave in your garage and maybe not even drive, but just look at every
Okay.
day?
So one, this is gonna be a really big curveball because I can't find one for more than like a decent price. Would be a 2024 Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro.
Wow.
I cannot find one, and
So
I
that
would
would be a
love
daily?
that to be my like everyday family truck. Like I cannot find one for under 90. I'd buy it. I think it's a great truck. It would either be that or I'd get the 2024 ZR2 Silverado,
Sick.
the 2500, not the 1500.
So that's
I
a
have.
big boy.
Big boy truck. I'd love that. Oh God.
We
I'm
can-
gonna say the 96 Land Cruiser.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna put that up there because I need to have one of those.
So that would be the car that you would take out on the weekends. Go to the
Yeah,
beach,
yeah,
put the
yeah,
kids
absolutely.
in.
That would
Cool.
be like my like weekend getaway, kind of like, hey, let's have fun. I don't really care. And then my like one car that I could, if I could have, would be a 19 Spider,
Yep.
but I would overland it.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. You're gonna overland a 918
Yes.
Spider?
So I remember one day I went to Porsche, my mom in a Cayenne, or I forgot what I was doing there, and I pull in, a guy follows me in a 19 Spider. It was the thing you do with Porsche. You could pick a color, whatever you want.
Yeah.
It was dead of winter. This dude had a 19 Spider, and it was curb rashed. It was destroyed
That's sick. What color
with a
was it?
roof. It was like orangish.
Okay.
Roof rack. He got out of the car, and I was like, "That is the most badass thing I've ever seen." This dude is ripping around in an almost $2 million car
Yeah.
every day and does not care. And like
Wow.
that is 100% the way that I want to live, where I have something that I actually use and I like beat the piss out of.
That's sick.
And that would be my dream car, 19 Spider Overland. He didn't have OEM wheels on, I remember.
So you probably have you seen the new 911 Dakar?
No.
So it's basically they took everyone's been running with this like Safari overlanding.
Yeah,
911
I've been
thing.
seeing a lot of them.
So now you can actually buy one. It's called a Dakar.
Really?
It's
Is it
from
from
Porsche.
Porsche? No
Yeah, it's so
way.
sick. They're raised up. They have off-road tires on them, off-road suspension. But I'll tell you, when we did that video with that guy who had the old air-cooled Porsche, he takes that car off-road all the time.
Yeah.
He had a friend who has one of those, who also bought the new Porsche Dakar.
Okay.
He said he took it off-road once, everything broke.
Really? Yeah, it's definitely,
So-
it can't be the same. I honestly do really think like the guys who like rock around with like the Aventadors, like that are like done up for overland and off-roading, I'm telling you right now, that has to be the most amazing feeling.
The guy who has the Cayenne told us that nothing feels better than driving an overland
It has
Cayenne.
to.
It feels
Yeah,
like
it has to.
it feels like a stock car on steroids.
Actually, Black Rhino, that wheel company, posted like a picture a couple months ago of a Cayenne that was overland built, and I was like, I saved it. I was like, I would love that. Yeah, I'm big into the overland.
How do you feel about electric cars?
I love them. I'm gonna get the Cybertruck when I can get it. My only really issue with the Cybertruck is I feel like it's gonna be too popular because it had over 1 million
It's insane.
pre-orders.
Insane.
So you have to take into account probably not 1 million people are actually gonna take it.
No.
So let's
Especially
say
with the
like
economy right now.
500,000 maybe 250 to 500,000 people actually take it. So I definitely will consider it.
When you get it, just know I think they only make it in one color.
Yeah, no, we're gonna have to
Bring
wrap
it
it.
here,
Yeah, we're
we'll
gonna have to
wrap
wrap
it,
it.
we'll
We're gonna
make
have
it
to wrap
sick.
Yeah.
There's a company, it's either T-Sport line or Unplugged Performance.
Okay.
They
Oh,
already
I've seen them
built-
before.
they already
Yeah.
built insane
I've seen them
package for
before. Yeah. I put my truck. I've had my truck for a year. I already have 20,000 miles on it.
Nice.
So I got to get something that's like a little more like, hey, I could drive for a couple of miles and
Yeah.
not be afraid. I'm gonna burn out.
That makes
my
sense.
gas, yeah.
Since we talked mostly about your business life, a little bit about personal life, you can make it about that or you can make it about cars. It's a recommendation and a pet peeve. So like you can even tell me, oh, I watched this movie recently that was sick, or you could tell me something about cars, or you can tell me something about the business, like a pet peeve. So I'll do one recently that we said on the show. One of my recommendations is I am such an avid person against brake checking. Do not
Yeah.
brake check. It is so
Yeah, I
I've
don't
seen
do
a
that.
million dash cam footage clips of people getting into horrible accidents. So what I tell people is make sure that your windshield wiper fluid is always full and just lay on
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And the best satisfying thing is when you start to see their wipers go. And you're like,
you
that's
got
right,
them.
bitch.
That's a pretty good one. I think my pet peeve is when you pull up to the gas station and the person, you could tell, instead of pulling all the way up to the front pump, they only stop at the back pump.
It's the worst.
Yeah, that bothers me because the gas station I go to, you can't actually get around in my truck, so I just have to stay there, and then I'm the ass that blocks everything.
Yep, I get that.
Yeah, that's my one pet peeve.
What do you tell, if you had a time machine, what would you tell 16-year-old Mikey? Advice that you'd give him?
I've actually been asked that question a lot. I wouldn't tell myself anything.
Really?
Yeah, I don't live like that. I think everything that I've done leading up to this point has made me who I am right now. So I don't think I would tell myself anything.
That's awesome.
Maybe like 16-year-old, I'd be going to Loyola. So maybe like put on like an extra few pounds because freshman year I did not touch the field. So maybe that would be what I tell myself.
So where can people find you, Mikey? How do you want them to search you? Where are your pages?
I mean, everything that is about me is pretty much posted at Iron Vault, so you can just follow us on Instagram
At Iron Vault?
at iron.vault.
Okay.
We're actually trying to buy Iron Vault.
Okay.
But unfortunately, we messed up and we didn't buy it at the beginning. So now, like, the SEO bots are like charging like $20,000 for it. They refuse to give it to us.
Sucks.
Yeah. So iron.vault, and then Drink IVX, and then just me at Mikey.
When is this coming?
That will be spring 24.
Spring 24.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm keeping one of these.
Here. Yeah, you can keep them all four. We don't care. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. This was awesome. I cannot thank you enough.
Yeah. No.
And yeah, we will catch you guys in the next one.